Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the You Look Happier podcast. My name is Ellie Forsyth. I'm a life coach and a counsellor, and this podcast is dedicated to real people with real stories. So I've done a few of these podcasts now, and there is a certain somebody in my life who I feel has a really inspirational story, and that is my husband, Callum.
Hello.
Hello, Callum.
Hello, darling.
How are you feeling?
A bit nervous, bit excited, bit of a combination, really. But yeah, all good.
That is normal. As I said, just ignore everything in here, all the lights, all the mics. It's just like me and you just
What
have.
mic?
It's just like me and you having a chat. But the reason why I have invited you onto this podcast is because I think the journey which you've been on could be really relatable to a lot of people, but also there might be some things which people might not be that aware of when it comes to you and your journey. So if they are people that know you, fair enough, but there may be people that don't. So could you start off by sharing with the listeners or the watchers who you are?
Yeah, as you introduced me, I am your husband, number one husband, the best I've been told. I'm a father of two boys, 10 and 7. Well, Freddie, my eldest, is 10 next month. Business owner, a bit of a workaholic, if I'm completely honest. Do you know what? If I was to be completely honest with a description of me, I would say I'm an addict in a completely different light now. I've just managed to realise that I am an addict, but I'm a bit more addicted to the good stuff rather than the bad stuff.
Wow. Okay, really honest, and thank you for sharing that. So when you say that you are an addict, you've mentioned that you had an addiction to something maybe more negative, whereas now your addiction is work, and I can vouch for that as well because you are a workaholic. I think this morning, Callum, you were oiling our kitchen worktops at 6 a.m. and then making so much noise, and it's like, oh right, okay, we're all up then, are we? So,
Yeah.
but I can't really complain. It's not really a negative, is it? Because you're not really doing anything else. But tell me about this journey. Have you always been a workaholic?
I've always worked from an early age. Like, that was a big thing that, like, my dad would definitely instill in me and my brothers. It was always go to work. I had a paper round at 12, 13, whatever it was. Left school, got an apprenticeship. I was always working, yeah. I'd work late evenings and stuff, yeah. So it's just been, that was instilled from me from a young age. And now I've managed to get onto the right side of the working rather than working for people. I've managed to then create a business. So it's paid off. Yeah, it's paid off.
Amazing, thank you. So tell me about this journey then, because I know all about your journey, but I'm interested to know, from a sort of zoomed out perspective. You've mentioned the negative stuff which you used to be involved in, you used to be addicted to. Talk to me about that. How did you get to where you are today, Cal?
So, I mean, it started from an early age. I probably had my first drink around 13, 14. When you're a kid, you go down the park and a couple of cans or whatever. It never agreed with me from day one, if I'm completely honest. Yeah, I mean, it just got worse and worse throughout adult life. You sort of get away with it when you're younger, don't you? You've got no responsibilities, so it's like, oh damn, I've got a slap on the wrist, or damn, I'm grounded, that sort of thing. And then as you get older, police get involved, then it affects relationships, then it affects like the parents and all the rest of it. So it gradually got worse. I'd probably say, well, the worst of it was at the end, really, when I hit, I wouldn't say rock bottom, because I still had a relatively good life, but I hit an all-time low for me. I was just in a shit state mentally, emotionally. I was a mess. Drugs got involved, that combination. Well, I'll tell you where the end was COVID, when we got locked up. That was
in the house.
Yeah, in the house, yeah. So me and my best mate we lived together. Well, we didn't really know what COVID was. We were having the time of our lives, or what we thought was the time of our lives. But yeah, when that went Pete Tong, it was you're doing it in a dark room, early hours of the morning on your own. It's well, it makes you think. If I'm completely honest, how did I get to where I am now? I got into trouble. Basically, I got into trouble with the law, and it was I was shitting it. Really, I was thinking, shit, what do I do here? I need help to get out of trouble. And it was actually my solicitor that told me, right, have you ever, we went through the criminal record that I've got and basically broke it down, and every single offence was drink related. And he said to me, he said, right, have you ever had help with your drink? I said, no, I've never, like, I get pissed and I'm a young lad, you know, that sort of thing.
Same as everybody else is essentially in your head.
Yeah, well, yeah, a little bit, yeah. But then he said, right, go to AA. And I thought, fucking hell, like, a bit drastic that is, ain't it? And I did at first. I thought, nah, I'm not, I can't do it. Sat down with my mum, got talking to my mum about it, basically breaking down, like, I'm nervous, I'm a dad. I could potentially be looking at some serious trouble here. And she said, you've got to do it. And luckily, there was a family friend of ours that was in AA, and I met with him, had a chat with him. He basically told me that it's not what you think it is, which I thought everyone's going to tell me. Everyone's going to tell me that to get me in there, aren't they? So, and then yeah, I went. So I went to AA, and I haven't drank since. But I went in there. No, I tell a lie. Actually, that is a lie, because I went there, and the first story I heard, it basically made me realise that an alcoholic isn't what you think an alcoholic is.
Yeah.
So for me, what I thought an alcoholic was someone with scabby skin, fucking holes in their trousers, one shoe missing, pissed up on a park bench. That's what I thought an alcoholic was.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I ain't that. Like, I live a normal life. I go to work. I pay my bills. I've got a house, got my kids, everything else. That isn't, like, I'm not that. So I thought, I'm not going to AA, and I did. So I went to AA, and the first story I heard, I thought, shit. I related. And, I mean, mate, I count my lucky stars that I did get it straight. I did hear a story that I related to straight away, because, like, albeit I've been to numerous AA meetings now, and I don't always relate. Sometimes I don't relate at all. So then for me, I look back now and I think, do you know what? To land lucky that time and hear that story that time, like, I was lucky.
It's almost as if it was meant to be, though, Cal.
Yeah. But I get on with people down there. I've got lifelong friends. I don't go as often as I should anymore, but I'm okay with that. Like, I needed it at that point, and I still do speak to people from AA. If I ever needed support, I've got the support there. Got you as well. But yeah, it's I was lucky with that one. So yeah, going to AA, and do you know what? I heard it in the actual share at the first meeting. The person who shared actually mentioned that AA fucks up your drinking. So that was my first meeting, and then I'd been to 3 meetings, I think it was, and I tried to drink. I actually tried to drink after that, and it was horrible, absolutely horrible.
Why was it horrible?
Because it took me 45 minutes to order my first drink. 45 minutes to order my first drink, because I was sat there battling with myself, thinking, I'll be all right if I just have one. I'll be all right. No, I can just have one. No, don't do it. And literally, it was fucking bat and ball in my head, just going backwards and forwards. And then I ended up having a drink, and that was that sealed the deal for me, and realising that I was an alcoholic was when I thought I'd have one drink. I convinced myself I'll have one drink, and one turned into fucking 21, and before you know it, there's everything, all the like cocaine, MDMA, the rest of it. It all joins the party then,
Yeah.
it's. So I thought, right, that's it. Clearly, like I'd work the next day, and I didn't turn up, and then I thought, right, well, clearly I've got more of an issue than I thought, and yeah, so I carried on with AA, and I never drank since that one. Basically, so 3 weeks after joining.
Okay. So I have so many questions here.
Sorry if I've just gone
No,
on way
that's
too long.
it's brilliant because it's a really helpful insight into how you recognised that you had a problem. You're sharing your journey. Everybody was doing it. Everybody was drinking. You didn't realise it was an issue. So how did you then realise it was an issue? Other than getting in trouble, prior to that, did you know, I'm drinking a little bit too much here?
Nah. Now I thought it was alright. I convinced myself I was alright. I'm just a social drinker. No, I didn't. I wasn't self-aware beforehand. Probably now looking back, I now see all of the problems from day one to the end.
Really?
Yeah. Like the party never ended for me. I was always the last one at the party, even if that party was me on my own at home. Do you know what I mean? That's proper sad looking at it like that. Yes and no, because yes, I knew I had a problem. So, because it wasn't the first time I tried to stop drinking, but I never done it for myself, and I never really got any like time behind me to realise the benefits of not drinking.
Okay.
I was never comfortable in myself then either. So looking now that I'm a bit more clear-headed, a bit more self-aware, the reasons I drank was insecurities, which at the time of not being self-aware and knowing my insecurities, which I still have today, like I'm not afraid to admit that I have insecurities. I'm just all right with them now. But then I wasn't. So it's like, although I would try and stop drinking, I only stopped drinking to get people off my back when I fucked up.
Right.
I didn't stop drinking because I felt shit when I wasn't pissed. So I just
on
carried
that,
on
just
drinking.
to interrupt with you on that one, you felt shit when you weren't pissed. How? What do you mean by that statement?
I wasn't confident.
Right.
I didn't.
So you felt shit within yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
The whole Dutch courage and false confidence that alcohol gives you was what I was after. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you're drinking. You're then recognising you didn't want the party to stop. You then carried on the party when you went home. That is so honest and raw and vulnerable for you to say. So number one, I'm really grateful that you have shared that. I had a guest on here, Connor, who basically explained the same thing. Connor said everybody else would then go home. I'd then carry on at home. Why was that, do you think? Why was it that you didn't want the party to end?
It's the addictive personality. I suffered from alcoholism. I still do. So that's why I don't drink. That's where the addict in us, like, I can only talk for myself, but that I was an addict. I was an alcoholic, and that's why I carried on. I couldn't stop. I didn't want to stop.
Okay, thank you so much. So you didn't realise it was a problem. You had tried to quit drinking before, but by the sounds of things, you were doing that for other people. To basically, you might have messed up, you might have done something wrong, people would have been on your back. So you'd have then said, oh, I'm going to quit. I'm not going to drink anymore. But you always found a way back to it. So the real catalyst that you're sharing here with your stop drinking journey, you got in trouble. And I think a lot of people will be able to relate to that, because I think from working the jobs that I've done, working with people with addictions, you don't always realise that it's an issue until it's too late. And you're sharing here, you found yourself in a really difficult situation. How did that feel at that time?
Scary. Yeah. the things that alcohol made me do, like I said before, with the Dutch courage, the false confidence, trying to hide away the insecurities, made me do things that I didn't like doing. So when getting aggressive fighting, it would always lead to a police station, an ambulance. But like, do you know, there would be some kind of issue. But when you take the drink away, and I'm sat in that pile of shit that I've left behind from Jekyll, then it's like I haven't got it in me to go through this. Do you know what I mean? So when I'm looking at potential jail time, it was like, I'm not made for that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I weren't. So it was like that drunk me is creating a whole pile of shit that sober me couldn't deal with at the time.
Wow.
I didn't have it in me. I didn't have the confidence. So yeah.
I can relate to some of the things you're sharing here as well, because I've known you for a very long time. We've known each other since we were 17.
Yeah.
And the sort of Dutch courage, confidence, when I used to see you out, because we were just friends, was you would be aggy. You would be fighting. You would be sometimes looking for a fight. I don't think I'd be wrong in saying that, Cal.
No, 100%. I'd be openly admit that. Yeah.
But do you know what is more open about what you've said? That you were drinking to hide insecurities and self-confidence. What was that like? Tell me about that. Is that something that you've always struggled with?
Oh, I've always struggled with it. I wouldn't say I'm a childhood, no. No, I was a confident child. I would probably say, like, now being self-aware, I know what it is. I know my insecurities. I grew up, 2 older brothers. My dad, he's a man's man.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's the boy. Proper tough exterior. Like, all my mates knew him as the tough guy. Did I want to be that? Yeah. The little inside me, the insecure me, wanted to be that. Yeah, and that's where the drink came in. Yeah, like I said, I had 2 older brothers. Like, obviously, brothers being brothers, I got beat up. Do you know what I mean? I was the annoying little brother. Well, they didn't annoy me; they just beat me up. It's as simple as that. And it weren't in a horrible way, but it was in a way that I weren't winning. Do you know what I mean? So, and then
They're older brothers, aren't they? Like,
yeah.
What's the age difference? One of them's
they're 6 and 7 years older than
Yeah.
me. Yeah. So when you're younger, 6 and 7 years is a big difference. I'd stick the oldest one on his ass now. Like, he'll like that. But yeah, do you know, like, and do you know what? Now, I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for it. Like, I had a tough dad. I'm glad he was tough on me. He taught me a few lessons, you know. He made me get out there and work. I'm glad they beat me up. I've got a high pain threshold now, so it's all good. But they're my insecurities. Yeah, when I wasn't self-aware, when I wasn't confident, and the drink did it all for me, that's why I drank so much. It's the insecurities, and I'm not saying that they're to blame, not one bit, because it was me that drank. Do you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, that was why I drank as heavily as I did, because of my insecurities. But I'm grateful for everything that I've gone through.
Yeah.
Because everything that I've gone through has led me to today, and led me to where I am today. So I can't regret anything, albeit I might have done a couple of things differently, but it's led me to where I am today, and I'm happy now. Do you know what I mean? So
I can fully back you on that sort of statement, or a few statements there, because I know you, I live with you, and I know that journey. So you're sharing 2 big brothers, tough dad, tough but very loving dad,
yeah,
who they're all amazing. I love your family to bits, but we are a product of our environment. We can't get away from that. I have a lot of my characteristics from my parents. I shared it on the waffle shop with Taylor. A lot of my ego from when I used to go out and drink came from my dad. Like, and that's not to say that we're talking badly of them, but sometimes it's helpful to go, yeah, that's probably come from there. So I completely respect you, Callum, for saying I was the baby of the family, lots of egos, male egos in my household, and drink helped me live up to that. You're then sharing, if we fast forward, you've got a whole heap of shit which you found yourself in, looking at potential going to prison, and drunk me had got you involved in that, but sober me, the Callum that I know, the Callum that I see sat in front of me now, that weren't him. So alcohol helped you to mask that. And it wasn't just alcohol, was it? It was alcohol and drugs. We're not going to deny it. You've mentioned it earlier. So if we backtrack a little bit, you tried to quit drinking, didn't quite work. Then this big whopper hit you to the point where you thought, shit, I have to do something here. So you went to AA, even though you didn't want to go to AA because you thought it's all people on park benches.
Yeah, and also I went there off the back of a lie. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't going there because I wanted to. It was only being there that made me then want to go back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a big part of that as well. Like I was lying at the end of the day, and that's what I did. That's what I did when I was in the shit. That's what drunk me would do.
What, just lie to get you out of?
Yeah, of course. Lie
What's
to
so
get out
common?
of the
Everybody
shit.
does it.
Yeah.
Like-
But then once being there, hearing it, relating to it, I was like, shit, best stay here.
So what is AA then for somebody that might think, oh, is it people on a park bench? Do people talk? You mentioned somebody shared a story. So what, for somebody that I know, so I'm pretending that I don't for the listeners, but could you explain what it's even like?
There's a range of different meetings. You get my favourite one was, which is I think the most common, is the experience, strength and hope, which basically you get a main share, which will you sit at the front, and it isn't what anyone thinks, where you have to stand up and say, hi, my name's Callum and I'm an alcoholic. You don't do that. You go in and speak. I went in there all sheepish like a little kid. Got a cup of tea. Luckily, the family friend came with me and got me a cup of tea, and I sat down. There's no pressure in it. You go in there. If you talk, you talk. If you don't, you don't. Like, it's entirely up to you. There's a main show at the front.
So is that somebody? A main show is what? A person sitting at the front.
A main share is someone that's is volunteered to sit at the front of the room and share their experience, strength, and hope.
Right,
so.
Okay.
Basically, to break it down, it's the 3 stages: their experience of drinking, or not necessarily their drinking, but it tends to be the drinking, the experience of then stopping drinking, what their sobriety journey has been like, and so on, the strength that they've managed to gain from the journey, and then the hope of continuing the journey on, of staying sober. So that would be the main kind. There is step meetings as well, where obviously it's a 12-step program, so it gets broken down into steps, and each on the meetings they'll talk about each step. But yeah, it's not what anyone thinks. It's a room full of normal people, all ages, all walks of life. In fact, you probably see more normal people in the AA rooms than you do out on the streets of Coventry. So it's like, yeah, there's some seriously wise people in there, which luckily for me, I brushed shoulders with and got advice from, really.
The common perception of who would attend AA is completely different of who actually attends AA, is what you're saying here.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
And even through our relationship and me knowing that, sometimes you have gone to meetings, sometimes you haven't, like at the minute, saying that you don't really need it at the minute, absolutely fine. But the amount of people that you've sort of supported and helped just from your own journey that might think, oh, I'm thinking of maybe quitting drinking. I'm thinking I might have a problem. Did you ever think you'd be the person to help people?
No. Could barely help myself. Like, nah, not one bit. Don't get me wrong, I love helping people. And I really do. Like, in a bit of a selfish way, it makes me feel good.
Nothing wrong with that, Cal.
Like, it doesn't happen very often, but if someone comes to me for advice and I can give the advice that they're looking for or need, then I'd absolutely give it. And that's part of AA, and the 12 steps is helping other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. But it's not just alcoholics, it's addicts in general of any walk of life. Do you know what I mean? You got gambling, you got drinking, drugs, so on and so on. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I'll always help people if I can.
So in relation to the drinking, how did you find that journey?
Yeah, that one I have stopped.
Yeah. So how did you find that journey? Did you find it difficult this time?
Yeah. 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 I think the term that they use is dry drunk at the very start. I would still go to the pub, which is fucking mental. I would still go to the pub, and then I was drinking 0% lagers, and I would always hold the bottle, like fully cover it, to be like, I'm like having a drink, so no one would ask me. Loser. But yeah, I carried on. I would say I was a dry drunk at the start. It was challenging. It really challenging. Like, I'd be in the pub. It was pointless as well, if I'm completely honest. I'd go to the pub after work because the job at the time of me stopping drinking, sometimes I'd be done at lunchtime. Oh, what do I do now? Like, I didn't really have any other purpose. Oh, I'll go to the pub then. It's pointless. But that was what I did. But then when I'm in the pub, before, it would always lead to some more. Do you know what I mean? I'd have 4 pints in the pub. When I was drinking, I'd have 4 pints in the pub. And then I'd go out pretending like, I'm going to have this and that for dinner. What a load of bollocks. Do you know what I mean? It was. I'd stop at the shop on the way home, get a load of cans, and then I'd be at home on my own. Do you know, it's sad. But yeah, the journey was tough. The journey was tough because I was in the pub, I was not drinking, but still my head was trying to plan a mad idea. I had ideas because, well, at the start of me stopping drinking, I actually moved back to my mum and dad's, so I had a support network around me. But so then when I was in the pub, I think, right, I can just book a hotel room and I can go there. I'll tell my mum I've like stayed elsewhere, whatever. She ain't gonna be bothered. I'm an adult, and then I can just do whatever I want, and I'll work, like, everything will be alright. I'll go back to normal tomorrow, and that was upstairs. Like, my head was fucking spinning at times with it because it'd be a constant battle with it. And then I wouldn't say after that. Later on, that lasted, I'd probably say, the first 6 months. After that, I wouldn't say I really struggled to not drink, but I struggled with myself.
Okay.
Trying to find purpose, occupy myself. Because all that time that I used to spend in the pub, it is now like, what do I do now?
Yeah. Especially if you're finishing work early on the, those kind of weekdays, like lunchtime.
Yeah. Especially in the summer.
Yeah.
But yeah, afternoon naps became my best friend. Yeah, for a little while. They were all right. Then I got into a bit of fitness, done running and bits and pieces, going to the gym, whatever, trying to look after myself. But then, yeah, it just, I mean, I would never say, I've never self-fulfilled. Do you know? And you know this. Like, I can't sit still for 5 minutes.
You're doing really well here, although this microphone does keep wobbling, so can you stop moving your foot?
We went away last week and 2 days into a 4-day holiday, and I'm asking if we want to go home the next day. Do you know what I mean? Like, I am like
That's
that.
the second holiday you've done that as well.
Yeah, and I
Should we just go home a day early? Just go back to work. And that's not because
even
you're
though
not...
it's going to cost us more to book an early flight.
Yeah, and that's not because you're not enjoying yourself. It's genuinely because too much of the same thing, you get very restless. And I can't even imagine how difficult it must have been for you at that time where you'd quit drinking, you've quit everything, but you're still in the same situation. So you're still in the pub, but you're drinking 0%, but your head is still in the mindset of an addict. Now, I know that never really goes away, and it's really common for somebody with an addictive personality to put their addiction into something else. And we joke all the time, don't we? Like, well, what's your addiction this week, Cal? And it'll be ice cream, biscuits. Or it'll be, biscuits, or what was it? Rock climbing. That's just come to my head. You went on like 3 rock climbing sessions.
Yeah, I did one and then bought
swimming,
a pair of rock
sauna,
shoes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, running.
But do you know what? I embrace it because you're at home. You're at home every night, and you go to, which is quite frustrating that you go to sleep at 8 p.m. and won't watch another episode.
Yeah, I've got to get
me.
up at 6 a.m. to oil the kitchen worktops.
Exactly.
So.
Okay. So when did that voice in your head telling you, right, lie, go and get a hotel room, go and get on it, because it's the only way you're going to be able to do it? When did that stop?
So, yeah, I would say the voice in my head, I've always got a voice in my head. It's still there today. I'm not going to beat around the bush and say, oh, praise the Lord, I'm cured, because I ain't. Mm-hmm. I'm far from cured. Do you know what I mean? And I think you know that, like, but the voice in my head, the mad ideas and stuff, sort of, it's almost like an autopilot thing, I think.
Yeah.
You can reprogram yourself, and you can with enough work and the right reasons. I have all the right reasons to not go back to drink. Do I sometimes discuss the good stories from my drinking days and think, fucking, that's a good idea? I do. I wouldn't lie about it. But I know what that one drink will do. I remember I've had it recently in the build up to our wedding, and I was going on the stag do, and someone said to me, "Oh, you're not going to have a drink on your stag?" No, because that 3-day stag playing golf and chilling out will turn into fucking chaos a week later, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later down the line. If I went on, don't get me wrong, I know I could go outside now, I could have one glass of red wine, and then I'd go home and I wouldn't drink again for the rest of the night. But all that's doing is playing tricks in my head that, Sam, you can drink then.
You've got it.
Yeah. You've got this. You've grown up. You've put your big boy pants on. But that would lead to chaos.
Yeah.
Because I am an addict, and I know that them traits will never leave me, which is why I won't drink again. So yeah, I now put it into the positive stuff. So yeah.
Do you think people understand? You know, the fact that you don't drink now. There's 2 sort of prongs to this question, just from knowing you. Now, I know some people look at you and say, oh yeah, well, Cal's smashing it. You know, he's smashed it. 4 years, nearly 5. It'll be 5 years this year.
Yeah.
That you will have been completely sober.
Yeah.
But some people look at it as if it's really easy for you, and it's not, is it?
No, not one bit. Not one bit. I would say it's easier now, but it's not. It's not easy. No, not by any stretch. Especially, like, some of my most fun times, yes, have been through drink. I've had really good times in the past, but they didn't last forever. And I think what I'm trying, there was also the worst times. I wouldn't say the best times, but good times. But the worst times have been through drink. Whereas I don't want that up and down roller coaster. Yeah, having the best time. Oh fuck, I've done it again. I don't want that anymore.
Yeah.
So that's why for me it's really important for me to not drink, because I can plateau. And I haven't got rid of chaos out of my life. I've just introduced a new form of chaos into my life. So yeah, it's people. Will people understand? People will always assume. It might look easy. It's not. Can anyone do it? Yeah. So that, yeah.
Such a good answer. Thank you for explaining that, because what something seems to be from the outside isn't. You know, you were battling with your head through so many different times in your life. You've then stopped something which drowns out that noise. So then you've had to do a lot of self-development work, finding a purpose, figuring out who you are, and basically facing those insecurities straight in the face. That can't have been easy.
No.
And then what you're then doing is thinking, right, okay, I haven't got the escapism. What do I do now? So that element of growing up and putting your big boy pants on, I think that you have done that, Callum, but you've done it in a authentic way. You're not hiding behind a bottle of red wine. You're not hiding behind going out and getting on the sesh for 3 days. You know, if you're stressed at work, you've got to deal with it. And I think that, well, I know.
Oh, you have.
Well, I've got to deal with it, yeah. You deal with it so well. Like, you communicate now to the point where you will say, I'm really stressed. This has happened. I feel like X, Y, Z. There's not, I'm being really genuine and honest and vulnerable with you here. There's not many men that can say that, Callum, and that's why I respect you so much, because you haven't got the hiding behind, I'm going to the pub, I've had a shit week. You'll go, right, how do we deal with this then? So we communicate and we have a chat. And that takes bollocks, Cal.
Yeah.
Do you struggle with listening to that compliment there? I wouldn't normally say that with a guest, but because I know you that well, I'm thinking, he's not very good for that one.
Yeah, it's, yeah.
It's the truth. So my question to you is, with your journey, 5 years this year sober, figuring out who you are as a person, you've had to do a lot of inner work. I know this, but you've even explained that you have as well, figuring out who you are. What's life like now for you?
Oh, that's a good one. What is life like for me now? Level. It's level. It's just like, don't get me wrong. I get the stress at work, and we have really good times. Like last week with the kids, and like love that. Like I have really good times, but I'm never that far happy, and I'm never that far down. Like I'm always, I try to stay on a level. I'm there. I'm more present. I'm present now. It's a really difficult one to explain, because it's not that there's nothing majorly to report. Do you know what I mean? It's just, I'm just chill, and that's how I want to be. So, yeah.
You shared something earlier about not giving things long enough to see the benefits of not drinking. So this is really common as well. When somebody quits drinking, they might think, oh yeah, this is great. But it's only when you stop drinking for quite some time that you really notice, oh, hang on a minute. Like, I've got a very special friend of mine who probably may come back on this podcast as a guest number 2. She's already been on, and her journey is amazing at the moment, but I'll let her share her story.
Yeah, she's smashing it.
But she's started to realise, oh, fucking hell, this is life then. This feels great.
Yeah.
And by the sounds of things, that's what you started to do as well.
yeah, like, don't get me wrong. You can stop drinking for one weekend and you think, oh, fuck, Sunday mornings are actually a lot better because I'm not hungover. But it's not just the hangover part. It's the consistency of it. You can do more. You know, like I I have the confidence now that I didn't have before. Like wouldn't go into certain social situations if I wasn't drunk. I have no issue going into social situations now. It's just an ongoing thing, isn't it? And it's not for everyone. It's not a case that it's a bad thing for everyone, but it didn't agree with me.
Yeah.
And that's like, I don't stick my nose up at people that drink. Like, if I'm completely honest, I'm quite jealous that they can drink
actually do it and
without getting
put it away.
Yeah, and not end up with the chaos going on.
Yeah.
I am quite jealous of that. But hey, that is what it is. I've been dealt the cards I've been dealt, and that's it.
You mention confidence in social situations. I remember something which you shared with me once. We were at somebody's birthday party, engagement party or whatever, and you said on the way home or next day how nice it was to actually be able to have a conversation with somebody, because you were sober.
Yeah.
Actually seeing people that you've maybe not seen for years or getting to know somebody on a level where you can actually have a chat with them.
Yeah.
That's something that you'd never done.
No.
Especially not on a weekend or a night out.
No. Not one bit. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong, there'd be conversations, but there were fucking pointless conversations about shit.
Waffle.
Proper.
No offense, Taylor.
But yeah, they were absolute shit. Whereas now, like, yeah, even down to being able to go home. Like, before, I would be in a social situation, I'd either be the last person there or I'd carry it on when I got home. But I didn't. I was childish. Like, it was overcompensating. The confidence didn't get me to a confident level. It got me to a twat. Like, childish, immature. Like, I went over the top with, oh, I'm confident now. Right, let's make me centre of attention and create a right fucking scene here. Whereas now, like, I can go to them situations, have conversations. When I've had enough, I just go home.
Yeah, you do.
And that's lovely. And then I can be in bed by 9 p.m. on a Saturday night. That is great.
Do you know what I will say as well? Through our relationship and us being together, I remember right at the beginning, I was still going out quite a bit. And I'm not saying that our relationship changed that, but it did have an influence on me because being hungover, I am terrible with a hangover, vile. It lasts for 4 days. I can't cope. And having Callum there, full of beans on a Saturday morning, clapping his hands and going, right, come on then, where are we going? What are we doing? And I'd be thinking, turn the volume down and go away. And it made me jealous, thinking, I cannot believe that he feels like that. I would give anything to not feel hungover now. And that lasted, for a couple of months. I was still going out with all of my friends. And then now I think it's a combination of getting older, finding a new purpose, and we'll come on to yours in a second, but with me, like figuring out, okay, what do I want from my life now? And also being around somebody and being in a relationship with somebody who doesn't drink, it is so refreshing. Genuinely it is. And our wedding day and the evening do, every single one of my friends and the guests that were there have said Callum was having the best time. They cannot believe that he was sober. You had your shirt off and you were lassoing it to Mr. Brightside around your head.
That will never stop.
I love that so much, though, because you've managed to prove you didn't need alcohol to be confident. You didn't need alcohol to have a good time. And there was no fighting because you hadn't had alcohol.
Yeah. Win-win.
Exactly. So it's interesting how your journey has impacted my journey. Now, I'm not saying that I'm never going to drink again. I'm not sober. Obviously, I'm pregnant at the moment.
Yeah.
So I'm not. But even at the start of the year and towards the end of last year, I'd sort of I just fell out of love with it a little bit. If I didn't get hangovers, I'd be dangerous because I love to drink. But I was just as shit as you were. I was terrible drunk, as you well know.
Yeah, I don't think you weren't that bad towards like.
Yeah, maybe not on your levels, Cal, but
Yeah, you were loud.
Yeah.
You were loud and excitable.
and annoying.
Yeah.
Oh, so
a
annoying.
little bit.
Okay, so looking at the level of confidence that you were missing, you were overcompensating for. How has your level of confidence changed since being sober, from a business aspect?
Do you know what? It's because of the way my confidence level has probably risen. Well, it has risen, hasn't it? So, but it's because it's more a case of who gives a shit is the bottom line of it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Do you know? And that might sound reckless, but I don't mean it in a reckless way. I'd always like. I remember when I first told my mum and dad I was setting up a business and going self-employed, and they were like, "Whoa, what happens if you've got no work?" I was a bit like, "Well, just go and get a job again." They were like, "Oh," like almost like they hadn't thought of that idea. And then I just keep pushing myself because, like I say, I can't sit still. I've got to keep doing something, challenging myself. So I'm always after the next thing to keep going. That I wouldn't say that's an addiction. That's more of a drive rather than anything. But yeah, it's the confidence thing. It's just a case of why would you not do something? That's how I see it now. Why would I not give that a go? If I think that's what I want to do, why would I not give that a go? Because fuck it, what's the worst that can happen? I'm pretty sure that it ain't as bad as some of the shit that I had to deal with back in the past. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's like. So then, yeah, go for it. Just do it. Why not?
So through being sober, you now, in relation to purpose, you found your purpose, haven't you? I think you're still searching for it. I don't think you'll ever stop.
No.
But when it comes to work, you've set up your own business. You've overcome fear to do it. You're doing pretty well at it. You've also embarked on a journey in relation to property investing. So that's a joint venture that we're both on. Would you have set up your own business and started property investing if you were still drinking every weekend?
I don't think anybody would have invested in me when I was drinking, babe.
That is a great answer, Callum.
It wouldn't be a thing. I didn't have the what's the word? I didn't have the reliability. People wouldn't have invested in a property investing company if I was still behaving the way I was behaving. It's only from growing up and maturing that I now have the reliability for people to invest. Yeah.
Great answer. And to ask the question again in relation to you, would you have done it? That's what I want to know.
Would I have done it? No, probably not. No. And not because I was scared. I wouldn't have been able to. It takes up a lot of time. You know that. It takes up a lot of time, and I wouldn't have been asked. Like everyone who drinks knows, you get hangovers. That would be not today. But 3 days later, I'm still feeling shit. Can't be asked. By the time I actually get back to it, it's like, oh, do you know, you've got to be hot on it. You've got to be quick. You've got to be offers in, deal done, job done. Right. It's getting the paperwork side of it done. I wouldn't have been able to do that now.
And also, you're not taking credit for getting any paperwork done because that's my job.
After being prodded.
Okay, so you have shared a really helpful and insightful journey that you've been on, Cal. You've spoken about how you are alcohol and substance free, but how it's changed your life for the better, and how you've noticed a difference in who you are, or the real you actually come out since doing that. I have a question which I ask all my guests, and that is, if there was somebody listening to this that really related to some of the stories, some of the bad times that you were sharing, so the feeling like they've got a problem but denying that they've got a problem, not really knowing where to start, what advice would you give to somebody that loves going out, loves the sesh, but recognises, if I wanted to stop, I'd actually struggle here?
I think if you've got that thought going through your head, you've got a problem. You don't think like that if you ain't got a problem.
So just to clarify, you don't think like what?
You don't question drinking if you haven't got a problem.
Okay, good to know.
That would be my personal opinion, but yeah.
So what advice would you give them?
What advice would I give? The advice that I would give, if you're at that stage, go to an AA meeting, seek support, look into it more. Just don't be afraid to stop. I mean, the world's changing now. The world's changing, and like there's 0% things everywhere. There's so much more better things to do. Again, in my opinion, it's only my personal opinion, but the world is changing. Drinking is becoming less attractive, I would say.
I would agree.
That might just be because of the walk of life I live now, but I would say it's becoming less attractive. But I would say definitely if you're questioning yourself about your drinking, I would don't be afraid to go to an AA meeting, because you'd probably find that the people in there are more normal than you. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. So, we are at the end of our podcast today, Callum.
Woohoo!
How are you feeling?
Yeah, better now than I started. I was pretty nervous.
It didn't come across that you were nervous, and I'm just really grateful. I've been trying to get you on here for a while, and when I first started out with this podcast, I was thinking, who the hell am I going to get as a guest? I've got about 7 followers on the new Instagram. What am I going to do? And I thought, Callum. Callum's got the most amazing story. Callum, 100%. But then I wanted to save you. And have our episode as almost like a You Look Happier special, because you have changed my life for the better. And to see the journey that you have been on is so inspirational. I'm your biggest fan, Cal, genuinely. And I just wanted you to be able to showcase the journey that you've been on.
Thank you. I mean, yeah, I'm here to be on your podcast, spread the word, and if anyone, if I can help anyone, I will. So, yeah, and you're smashing it at the minute. You don't need me. Don't need me as a special.
Well, I wanted you as one, and thank you very much. So, to wrap up, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I'm not going to say, I'll let you know when this is out, because we're literally driving home together.
No, I was just about to ask what's for dinner.
Yeah, great. That's getting edited out, you prick. So, thank you very much, Callum. I'm very grateful.
You're welcome.